Alright, so I don't know how many times I've tried to record this, but it just never seems to, I guess, come out correctly, or I never seem to get my thoughts out quite right. So, just another attempt, but hopefully it's the last one. Um, I'm going to talk about Team Fortress 2 Gold Rush, which is a recent source mod. It's actually the first source mod. Um, Personally, I think it became a bit of a TF2 culture war, so to speak, issue when it really didn't deserve it. It's kind of a shame. So yeah, I mean, I'll go over some of like the pros and the cons, kind of like a good bad, and then I'll go on to the ugly, which is the discussion around this mod because it's interesting to say the least. So yeah, I'll start with the pros because there are quite a lot. So I mean, first of all, it just runs better and it looks better than current TF2. Just I'll call current like live TF2. I'll just call it TF2 and I'll call the mod this mod Gold Rush. So yeah, anyway, um, they reverted the I think it was like in the free to play Uber update, where they like downgraded all the view models, so those look a lot nicer. They changed some animations. Spy like flicks his revolver into his face, which is a lot more stylish. I think Heavy does something similar with his shotgun. Nothing crazy, but it looks cooler, I suppose. Although those things, I kind of prefer them not flicking them in their face because like none of the other weapons in the game do that. Yeah, I'm trying to think of any which like throw the entire weapon model into your face. I guess the direct hit, but that's not really a fair comparison because the model's so chunky. But whatever, that's how it used to be, right? This game running way better is really noticeable for someone like me, who's on like garbage hardware. I can actually play the game in 1080p and I'll still get north of 60 FPS in fights, which is astounding because in regular TF2 I have to run I think it's master config. I have to run like medium low or something like that, or low medium, whichever is like the step above PS2 graphics because I don't want to play the game where like the characters have no teeth and eyes. Um, I have to play in like 900p, so that's nice. I think it's mainly because of like all the unoptimized cosmetics, and the fact that TF2, I don't think it runs very well with multiple cores. Because and this is just me uh, guessing, but the game was made when like dual cores were, I think even single cores were still the main processors. So, um, but beyond that, it's like there are hats in the current game with more tries than like some of these low poly player models, and so just not having any of those is a blessing because I can actually enjoy the game in the way it's meant to be enjoyed instead of like a PS2 game. And more to the point, it detected the resolution correctly the first time, so that was nice. Um, more on that. Like, there's no ugly unusual effects. There's no like hideous kill streak effects where the eyes glow or whatever. There's no weapon sheens, which I mean don't bother me that much. Um, Out of everything, I think you could keep weapon sheens. They do look kind of cool. Um, oh yeah, and there's no color vomit war paints. I mean, oh yeah, and there's no paints, so you're not going to see a green pyro or yellow pyro. And because of that, like the art style is a lot more consistent again. I'm not saying it's not consistent in current TF2. It's just because of there's because of the player expression, so to speak. It becomes very inconsistent. Uh, and because of this, it's just easier to play the game. Like I can literally feel myself like not having to think as hard. I don't know. This might sound weird, but like yeah, it just like you don't have to think as hard when you're playing the game. You just get to play the game, and like there's not something like some green fire above a soldier's head, and it's not like distracting. Um, because that's like another thing too. If I see like a bunch of players, I'll shoot the guy with the unusual first. Because he's probably well, most unusual wearing players are shitters, but if he doesn't have a medic, he might actually be good at the game, and also he's like the most garish one there. But you know, like you're not gonna be brought out of the experience as well with some guy with like a fucking banana on his head. It just reminds me of like, man, other games which I used to love did this. Rainbow Six Siege. I remember playing that one time and seeing fucking Rick from Rick and Morty, and I just like it just took me out of it completely. Like, is this a new character? Like, no, it was just a skin for a defender. So more on that. There's no economy, which means none of the worthless people who come to the game purely to make money are going to be interested in it. And if you look at the reviews, you can see they're disgruntled, to say the least. But I'll get to that later. Um, yeah, there's nobody there just for the pixels owned by Gaben. There's no like orbiters around the game because of its economy like CS2 and Dota has. It's obvious workshop creators don't like it because there's no way for them to profit from shitty cosmetics. You know, that's, I mean, getting mad at like the Emporium and the workshop, that's like getting, people are going to exploit things. You play any game, or, just basically everyone in games, they'll use the best weapons, right? That's kind of the similar thing. Like, they don't have to put much effort in and they know they're going to get picked and they know they're going to make money. Well, why do better? Ultimately, it's Valve's fault. Anyway, yeah, so, a clueless 50-year-old isn't doing the content curation. I mean, I don't know how old Robin Walker is. I don't know how old Eric Smith is. I think Eric Smith is around 50. But you got a bunch of people who, care about the game just like a tiny bit more. So that means that, like, you don't get bananas on heads, which is nice. Obviously, that's part of the point of the mod. And I'll explain that now since I haven't before. The mod is about kind of recreating old TF2, and they do state, and I'll get onto this. It's about up to 2010, so I'll leave that there. Yeah, I guess I'll just talk about the gameplay. So first thing, no casual mode. Cannot be overstated how good this is. And it's weird because it's like this mod is just about reduction. So you'd think, oh, well, less things, that's worse, right? Like, no, no casual mode is just no exaggeration. It's the best part about the mod, and I know you can go onto live TF2 and just play community servers. And my retort to that is, well, yes, you totally can, and you're right, but a lot of these are, well, okay, talk about vanilla, right? Because you can easily join like a times 1000 server or a higher tower server or like, I don't know, 24/7 2-4. That's easy, But what if you just want to play the normal game? What if you want to just play, I don't know, CP Foundry, one of my favorite maps in the game? Well, you're shit out of luck. And if there is a server running it, guess what? It's an Celeb server, so you get to play on Uncle Dane's just sweaty, like, I mean, they're not like that bad, but like all the players like on those servers are in Discord calls. You can tell because like they're going around corners coordinating with like two heavies overcharging. It's just like, come on, dude. Um, we're not playing Highlander, uh, And if you don't get the, oh yeah, and like Uncle Dane servers use like casual rule sets, so it's just not regular TF2. You can't switch teams. It's just like, what the fuck. Or you got like other shitty e-celeb servers. I don't really feel like mentioning any names, but there's one who is heavy air quotes vanilla, who like bans several weapons, and there's certain maps you can't play on them. And it's just like, and it's the same thing with the Uncle Dane servers. Like, it's under the guise of, oh, it's all vanilla, like we were just here to have fun, and then they're trying their fucking hardest. Nah, bro. I just want to go into a server with just purely randoms, or like just people who are trying to chill, and just play the game. So yeah, casual. I don't know. There are good things about it. Uh, I'll leave that for the ugly section. So yeah. Anyway, that's good, even if it is just reductive and not necessarily anything the mod's doing right, if that makes any sense. Let's see. Some weapons have been rightfully reverted. So such as the ambassador. I don't understand why people seethe so hard about the ambassador. When I was playing it, even when there was like a crack shot on the enemy team who seemed like he might have been cheating, it still didn't feel overpowered. I don't know what else to say, because like that guy was owning me, and it was like he 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 might have been he either had like 10,000 hours on TF2 or he was cheating. So, and like I felt like I could still fight back fairly well. You never know in TF2, it's got a fucking cheating epidemic. Anyway, yeah. So don't understand the seething about the ambassador. It's fine. I think maybe if you just reverted it and like did put a cap on its like saying like a lot, should stop that. Say you reverted it and put a cap on how far it could headshot. You know, make it longer than how it is right now. I think that might be fine. Make it like 2,000 something. How many units? Should be good. Anyway, yeah, the Sandman also is reverted. You're clumped together quite a lot, and that's just how old TF2 seems to play because the maps are a lot smaller, and so it's not quite as much of an issue. I mean, it's not like I don't think it's good design still, but you know, I can live with it. It's not like it's not that bad. You have more. There's like more pausing. Yeah, there's like more pausing between fights, so you do have to be a bit more discerning with its use. But yeah, being helpless, I don't know. It's not the greatest. Wrangler was rightfully nerfed. I don't really understand the autism around its shield. Like, I mean, it is definitely an important feature about the shield, and if I were doing the mod, I would have kept it. But with a shield comes the implication that it's reducing damage. So I understand why they removed it, because that is the exact issue with the Wrangler. Nobody uses it to shoot anything. I mean, they'll use it to shoot somebody if they're like, say a heavy's going around a corner and he's fully overhealed. He's trying to take the sentry down. That's like maybe one of the few instances they'll use it, or to rocket a spy or whatever. So I mean, I guess it's uncharitable to say nobody uses it like that, but the main reason people use it is when an Uber charge is coming, they want to stall the Uber charge, or they want to stall a direct hit or a lock and load uh, soldier or demo man. I mean, I've won entire games doing that. Just like on Barn Blitz, you put a dispenser on the staircase so a spy can't backstab you. You you put the the sentry behind the pillar, so it's harder for direct hit soldiers to hit it. And every time an Uber comes around or they try and shoot it, you just wrangle it, and it gets loads of health instantly. It's just ridiculous. So it's a good thing they nerfed that. But obviously, a lot of people don't like it because it's not perfectly accurate, and I'll get to that later. But I think they could have tried to at least keep the shield incorporated somehow. Um, Perhaps like when you first pull it out, you get a shield just for a little bit, and then it fades away. You don't get the shield while it's like um, sort of recharging. I don't know, so to speak. But yeah, people just use it to damage, like tank damage all the time. It's just a different flavor to what the short circuit is in TF2, so that's fine. I think they did a good job with that. But yeah, they need to find some way to reckon with the shield, because it also like indicates that yeah, a sentry's being wrangled. Demo Knight's missing. I don't know what to think about this. I mean, Demo Knight and the medieval weapons, they were, you know, they were in the game. I think pre 20 or in 2010, before the free to play update. So removing them upset a lot of people. I can understand that. I think it's one of those things where it's about the art style and the gameplay as well. Because I mean, yeah, having a guy able to charge right up to you and insta kill you is kind of silly in a game where everyone's got guns and he's able to like tank all the damage while he's doing it. I mean, I think full Demo Knight in regular TF2 is like it's cool. It's one of those things where it might have been better as its own class, so he could have a justification for actually having a gun as well. Yeah, Demo Knight in live TF2, he's mostly. I mean, Hybrid Knight is okay. He has his niche. He's like a bit more of an extreme scout, like a scout spy hybrid kind of thing. And yeah, removing him, I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. I like it from the art style point of view, but from the gameplay, it is a very big negative. And it's one of those things where like the original art team, I think they said yeah about to it. You know, the original developers of TF2, they put the Demo Knight in there. And Demo Man was kind of retconned to be like have like royal lineage to justify putting medieval mode in the game. And that's another thing which is missing. Like there's several weapons which are missing, but I'll go on to that in a minute. Another thing they did, I mean, this is how what used to be the weapon switch speed is slower. That is just so much nicer, honestly. Which is weird because I quite enjoy the Twitch nature of current live TF2. I really like, especially with the Huntsman, you can just absolute 1-2 combo people. If you know how to abuse its loading thing, you can throw Jarate and then basically instantly shoot them and they're gonna die if they're like a 125 HP class. In this mode, you can't really do that. It's harder to like combo, which is a bit of a bad thing for Pyro. Um, but overall, I'd say it's better because it slows the pace of the game down. It kind of, yeah, I mean, and like also, if you were to add weapons with higher switch speed, well, they'd actually be valuable now. But you know, in current TF2, everything's like a lot faster. So I think the weapon switch speed is a good change. I think honestly, if they brought that into live TF2, people would get annoyed, but I think it would have an overall positive effect on the game. So I like that about the mod. It just it the slower nature is just like there's more pauses. I don't know. Slower seems better, honestly. But that's what the next thing. They had the balls to disable the auto reload and actually kind of broke it, I guess. Um, and I think people misconstrue this as like a quality of life thing. Oh, it's quality of life because I can reload my weapon and interrupt the reload whenever I please, so I effectively have a bottomless clip. Like if you're using the Beggar's Bazooka, you effectively have a bottomless clip. You just fire like very, very slightly slower than a regular soldier would. Or like there's like especially a problem with the sticky bomb launcher, and this is something I noticed in the mod. I would actually run out of stickies and kind of be like I had to actually think about reloading. And when I first started playing TF2, I don't think I had auto reload checked. I just manually reloaded, and I don't know. I always found it weird. It seems like a broken thing. You're interrupting animations to shoot. Yeah, I applaud the balls to do this because again, it's another thing which slows the pace of the game down. It's just a bit nicer. Like it's refreshing, I suppose. Just people and yeah, people definitely misconstrue it as a quality of life thing, but no, it's 100% a balance thing. I mean, the main one I would say is definitely Soldier and Demo Man. They're the main beneficiaries of it, and because it's missing, they feel a lot less potent, but not like nerfed or anything. Just like there's more openings with them. Same thing with Scout, and like yeah, there is also like the delay. You actually have to physically press the button. You have to think about it, so it all adds up, and it just gives like a little tiny window. And again, it just slows the pace of the game down. It's very nice. Um, I like it. And another thing about it is it's not no other game does this. I can't think of a single game apart from Quake which is not this isn't really like a comparable thing. I can't think of any other game where you can turn on a setting to automatically reload, and I can't think of any other game which also lets you interrupt the reloads without being punished. Yeah, just slows down the pace of the game just a bit, and it's not like a massive difference. Like the TF2 for an SPS is quite fast paced. Gold Rush is still quite fast paced, but it just yeah, there's more windows. It just slows things down just a very tiny little bit, and it's almost. I mean, if you had somebody who hasn't played TF2 very much, they probably wouldn't even notice. They probably would barely notice. They might notice the weapon switch speed, but they probably wouldn't notice how the weapon reload. Like they'd think, oh, that's inconvenient, but I don't think they'd notice just how that little tiny effect it has. Um, I know I'm glazing the decision to do it quite a lot. Um, but for me, it's just like one of those things where it's like, no, the game does this. Um, it doesn't really feel like quality of life in current TF2. It just feels like a straight up advantage if you have it on compared to other players. A fresh install isn't going to have auto reload on, and it's going to detriment them. So yeah, and that comes into another thing. No shitty pub stomping weapons like the vaccinator or flog. It's just refreshing. Again, it's to do with the time that the mod is supposed to be replicating. The mod is Gold Rush is supposed to be old TF2, right? So you don't have to suffer through some of the terribly designed weapons in current TF2. Mainly the vaccinator, to be honest. Not the flog's that bad, but you know. Even if there are like no servers left in like a year or 2 years, it's still nice that this mod exists because you can experience somewhat of what old TF2 was like, which is commendable. I think that's a good thing. Um, unless somebody can make some kind of mod where you can pick and choose your version, or a mod which compiles different versions, such as the Uber update or Jungle Inferno, so you can kind of go back between a few old versions and play them. So until something like that exists, this is the best kind of look current TF2 players have, such as myself, into the old version of TF2. And in the old version of TF2, it has its strengths. Um, okay, and another big thing, it's just on Steam. So that means no more buggy launchers and barren midweek server browsers. People can easily find the game and easily go onto it. It's just 2 clicks. You download it and you play. So people are just that immediately brings down so many barriers. People like to act like, oh, if you care about the game, you'll go through all of it. But like, not everybody's not everybody's got a tolerance for these things. There are issues I faced when I was to varying degrees while I played this couple years back now, Open Fortress and TF2 Classic. I had this issue with Open Fortress a lot more, and it's what ultimately made me give up on the mod. I've just been waiting for it to come to Steam, which it is, so that'll be exciting. But yeah, that launcher went through like there were loads of different versions. Like say I'd give it a month and come back to the game, I'd try and update the launcher, and now they've got a new launcher. Just a mess. Being on Steam will make it a lot easier. TF2 Classic wasn't quite as bad. I don't remember how TF2 Classic worked because I haven't played it quite a while. Same with Open Fortress, but this was just my experience. TF2 Classic, I remember was a lot easier, but I do remember TF2 something about the TF2. I don't know if it was the install or something broke, and I had to wait a while to actually play it. When I did, it was fun. So again, looking forward to both those mods coming to Steam because it makes them a lot more accessible, and yeah, people with lower tolerance for these things. I mean, I had a quite high tolerance with Open Fortress, but I just eventually gave up because every time I want to go back for the mod just for a bit of DM, I'd have to re-download it. So it's like, yeah, that's good. First source mod as well, so congrats on that. Now onto some of the cons, and yeah, I don't want to shit on the game too hard because it was just the mod Gold Rush too hard because it was like a passion thing. It was made for people who it was made by people who just appreciate TF2, and I can get behind that. So first of all, the game is overall, I would say, and I played on launch just by the way. Overall, it was more unstable than TF2, and um, crashing is a very rare occurrence on base TF2. I'd say on base TF2, I crash maybe once every couple months, if that. Probably never crash on base TF2, and my hardware really struggles to run it sometimes. So one of those things. But in Gold Rush on the launch day alone, I must have crashed 4 or 5 times, several times while in a server. So it's like, and this will come into another thing um, about the favorites tab. And crashing did become less frequent after a recent update. But once it gets going, it's fine. But yeah, that's something that I hope they address. And yeah, that goes on to the next thing about crashing. The favorites and history tab in the server browser are still buggy like current TF2. In fact, I've found them to be worse. My favorite and the blacklist just don't appear to work, and I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure if they can fix it, but it is a very big part of like very annoying because I want to favorite a server and I to go back to it and I just can't. Or I want to block a server and I just can't. That those things at least work in current TF2, whereas they're just broken here. And history struggled to find even one of the many servers I've played on. It didn't even find Fragland, so I suspect it might have a problem to do with the frequent crashes while I was in those servers. But even after I was able to play and leave, they don't appear in my history tab. So for a mod which is entirely reliant on this server browser, this ancient server browser, this is very disappointing to me. Um, you know, in current TF2, the favorites tab is one of the most useful things, and for it not to work in a mod which is entirely reliant on servers is yeah. So a lot of good content, I'd say, post 2010 and even 2010 content is just omitted, which is fine in the case of what this mod is going for. But my main gripe with this is mainly in the weapon variety. Um, so, for instance, item sets such as the heavy Tomislav set or Spies and Forces set, I'd say fit the game very well thematically, visually, and even gameplay wise. They fit pretty well, but they were omitted. Um, Not to mention the period items such as the Gunslinger, and I already mentioned the Islander. Um, Another example could be the Crusader's crossbow. Those are all missing. Something which I find inexcusable is the fact that the Southern Hospitality and the Jag are missing, especially with the Southern Hospitality, because I mean it's that's a completely inoffensive, and it's something like this mod could have used that extra weapon variety just to really give it a tiny bit more longevity. Every extra weapon you can put into this mod is just a positive. Um, Granted, it's not super art style breaking. The Jag as well. I mean, the Jag stats like aren't crazy. You could probably get away with putting them in. I mean, I don't know how the Jag stats used to be. Maybe they were overpowered or something. But like, I don't think the Southern Hospitality's ever changed. I think it's always been bleed on hit and extra fire damage. So to omit the Southern Hospitality when Engineer only has the one wrench option just seems weird. Like, it wouldn't would it really affect gameplay that much? Like, he gives spies a harder time. Oh well, he's more vulnerable to pyros, which they're actually pretty good at taking down his nest because they just don't have to aim, do they? So that's something I find quite ridiculous. Like, um, there's weapons like I know they're quite late. Like the cleaner's carbine. That's another one. Like that's quite late, but does it break the art style? I mean, not really. I guess I would say the Dolichos bar as well. That's another one. It's just food. I mean, it does look a bit ridiculous, but the game's supposed to be a bit cartoony, so I guess the chocolate bar the size of a sandwich, it's whatever, right? I'm struggling a little bit to think of some more. Plenty of scout like primaries, like the baby faces. I know they aren't of the period, but you might be able to make them work. Mainly the 2011 weapons, I think, some of them could have definitely stayed. I know they might have added the detonator, but it's not in the current game. I don't think the detonator, like, it's just a slightly different looking uh, flare gun. I think gameplay wise, it doesn't really. It's not like that bad. It's not as bad as say the Scorched Shot, which is quite bad. And then you've got weapons like I don't know, just anything from the Pyromania update. All those weapons, the what's it called? The Hitman's Heatmaker. That's another one which probably would have fit fine. Babyface's Blaster, Pretty Boy's Pocket Pistol, probably would have fit fine. Beggar's Bazooka, I can see that being a stretch, especially gameplay wise. But yeah, I don't know. I think the weapons are definitely the most important. And this is the thing. This is a massive con for me because I love the weapon variety in current TF2. It just makes the game so fresh. Like, they could honestly not even add new weapons to TF2 ever, and they won't. So I don't know why I'm saying that, and I would be fine because there's just so many weapons in current TF2. You just forget about them sometimes, and then it's just like, oh, it's a completely fresh way to play the game. A mod like this, which isn't going to get updates, it could definitely use that, I think, for its longevity. But at the same time, some of the weapons you definitely want to steer clear, like the Thompson and stuff like that. But yeah, like art style fitting things like the old Enforcer, like yeah, that probably would have fit fine. But again, it's like they don't want to go past 2010, which I guess I can respect, but I think it's mainly a negative. I think they could have maybe used some artistic license there. And that takes us on to curation, which I don't know. I just think it's taken to an autistic degree in some cases. My biggest issue here is that Pyro's very first hat, the Pyro's beanie, is missing, but they kept the Heavy's football helmet in, which is like, they gave a pass to that. It looks completely retarded. It makes the Heavy look like he's in special ed. I would argue these two hats are on the same tier, so the justification to keep the Pyro's beanie is even stronger. You know, if it were me, I would have omitted the Heavy's football helmet and kept the Ushanka, but no, they kept both, but omitted the Pyro's beanie. Like, of course, it's a joke hat. I think all those first hats should have gotten a pass because they were what the art team agreed on for the first hats, right? They're what the art team signed off on. These were the genesis of the idea of hats, and I suppose yeah, what Pyro's being represents is the fact that he's an idiot, like he's a little kid, right? But I think that was the joke. It's just a shame the direction Valve took Pyro Cosmetics because he didn't have to be made into this retarded furry. I don't know. But yeah, I would have kept that one. I would have kept any of the soldier hats which like still cover his eyes. Like he's only got the soldier's stash, which costs like a key. I don't want to pay for that shit. Like let me use the stainless steel pot or the tyrant's helm. Um, those don't like break the art style. They look okay. I would say the stainless pot is a bit better than the tyrant's helm. You know, there's like quite a big gap between like those two hats, those early hats, and like what's a good example? I don't know what it's called, but it's a hat which looks like the maybe I'll put it up on screen. It's the hat which looks like the team captain, but it's all class. There's a gap between that, right? So I don't know. These hats were like they're modelled correctly, they're textured correctly, they're sized correctly. I don't know. I think it's the creation again. This goes into the same thing with the weapons. Like the curation is taken to a very strong degree, um, and that gets me onto inconsistency, which ties into the above. Sniper wasn't given any hats that removed his existing. I don't know what that thing's called, but you know that like cowboy Australian hat. He was only given his trophy belt because there's like apparently it's such a like a it's such like a essential part of his character that he has this tipped hat. Yeah, Scout can wear the old Baker Boy, which removes his headset, and his hat, which is like Scout's hat is quite an iconic part of his character as well. I'd say, especially his headset. It shows you that he's a scout, right? Because now he just looks like a guy with a shotgun, uh, which is how he is in base TF2. In Gold Rush, he looks like the scout, but in base TF2, he just looks like a guy running around with a shotgun most of the time because people change his trousers and he's wearing a hoodie and he's wearing like I don't know like a stupid banana on his head, right? The other classes don't suffer with that as much. I think Sniper. I'd say Sniper probably the other one who does suffer the most with that. But like a lot of the characters in TF2 came with hats already. Soldier has a helmet. Engineer has his hard hat. Demo's wearing a beanie. Scout has his hat, and then Sniper has his hat as well. Spy's wearing a balaclava. So there's only like Spy's wearing a mask. There's only like two characters who aren't wearing hats. So if it were me, I would have either not given Scout any hats or forced him to wear his headset with every hat he has, which they do with the Batter's helm, which is good. But I don't like the inconsistency of the old Baker Boy. Um, yeah, it just makes him look like a guy with a shotgun. And to be honest, it's not like a very remarkable hat. Sure, it fits the art style, but like this is another thing. Like I would say there's not a big difference between something like the Soldier's Style helm, which was I think, a promotional item, and something like the old Baker Boy. But there is a big difference between those two and something like the fucking banana, right? I keep going on to the banana. I'm sorry. I don't know, the bat hat, if you know what that looks like. That's something I wear in current TF2 because it looks so fucking awful. Um, it's like a cynical thing of wearing shitty hats, which I probably did ever since Blue Moon, the Blue Moon update. I just tried to make my character look as stupid as possible, and recently I just stopped wearing hats altogether in current TF2 because I think even these stupid hats look so fucking ugly. And whatever, it's a tangent. So yeah, I don't like the inconsistency, and that goes on to it. It's definitely some bias in this mod. For me, it doesn't ruin it, but for instance, the equalizer that wasn't reverted. It's just the gimped version from TF2, but given the escape plans model, which is how it used to be. It used to be equalizer used to be the escape plans model, and it had both the stats of the escape plan and the equalizer. So it was stupid OP, and I don't know. I think a good way you could have balanced that is just removed its random, like reverted it, removed its random crits, so it can't crit anymore. I don't know if it could crit. Maybe it used to be. Maybe it didn't used to be able to, but make sure it can't crit. And I don't know if the damage worked the same way as a current equalizer in TF2, where you actually deal less damage when you're full health. But just give the old equalizer that, and it would have been fine. Because yeah, when you pull it out, you are marked for death, so it's quite a gamble. Um, and the thing about like Demo Knight being missing, I don't know what to think about that. And yeah, the thing about bias as well is like they removed that one pyro hat, which was his first, which is like I don't know. It's not even accurate to the time period, which they say they will. I mean, obviously the mod isn't supposed to be. Well, I'll get to that. Oh yeah, another bad thing. Um, having to. Well, this is mixed for me. Having to do achievements to unlock weapons I already own. I understand they did this for player retention. It's definitely annoying because I know how these weapons work. I just have to do like weird challenges for them. I mean, it was fun. I got in a server where a guy kept overcharging me and telling me to go punch the enemy, and eventually it got him like an achievement, and he got the Blood Saga. So on the flip side, it can be fun. It's so yeah. I mean, the first stuff I managed to unlock was the sniper, the huntsman, and the Jurati because I love that combo. So much fun. Yeah, I mean, I don't know the unlocking weapons thing. I think some of the weapons that really change the character up, such as the huntsman and the maybe the dead ringer, could have been unlocked if you already own them. I don't know. Maybe it was a thing from Valve to like say no, you have to unlock them. And some of the weapons, and this goes for the hats as well, but some of the weapons you have to own in current TF2 to use them in Gold Rush, which is annoying. You can't like the free weapon, the achievement weapons in TF2. You don't have to wear, and I don't believe for Gold Rush to work. Yeah, I don't know. Mixed one for me. Uh, and yeah, I guess the other problems is like I think the main place they communicate is on Discord. I don't know. Um, yeah, the launch day and its discourse was pretty. The launch day was mixed, to say the least. I mean, congrats for them. 1,000 players. It was pretty fun. All the servers were full, so it was very easy to try the game out and learn it with everyone. Not that there's much to learn. It's just tier two, but less, right? But that's the good thing about it. So, guess I'll go on to the community discourse. It's just So, a lot of people have this. Well, there's two autistic fixations here. It's the first is auto reload, which people are like saying the mod is ruined because there's no auto reload, which is just so fucking stupid to be, man. It's like you're gonna write the entire mod off and not give it a chance because your weapons aren't reloading themselves automatically. Like, get a grip, dude. In the oldest versions of TF2, apparently it wasn't even there. So, but I'm not saying you have to like the lack of auto reload. I'm not saying that at all. I have it on in current TF2, but in Gold Rush I don't bother with plus reload or anything because I like it. And yeah, I'm not saying you have to like it, but not giving the mod a chance just because of that I think is ridiculous. And it goes on to the other thing about this being a TF2 like culture war thing. People not really giving the mod a chance. People who know they're not going to like it going into it and playing it for less than an hour and giving a review on Steam. I wanted to play the mod for at least 10 hours before this review just to give more succinct thoughts on it because I don't think I could. I don't think you can understand the game at all if you haven't played it for at least 10 hours or at least 5 hours. I wouldn't take most of the reviews seriously because a lot of them are from well, people who were predisposed to not like the mod because I won't mention his name, but that one fucking e-celeb who was promoting it, and then there was multiple e-celebs. Yeah, there's people who were like, and if you go to their profile on the review, and it's like they're from the Emporium. Like, not to say that the negative reviews aren't valid. There was one which I very much agreed with on the top a day or so ago. It might not be there anymore. In fact, I'll check. A guy named Yonk Beans, his review is fair. I think it's good. But there was a lot. There's a lot of negative reviews which are like zero point 0.1 hours, and I don't know. I think it's in very bad faith. And so yeah, there's a lot of this autism about it not being a perfect recreation of 2010 era TF2. Nowhere does it say the Gold Rush mod is supposed to be 2010 TF2. You go to their website. I'll go to it right now. TF2 Gold Rush. So we are pulling content from up until around 2010 and applying a layer of visual polish to it to feel to better reflect the game's initial aesthetic and premise. This mod will blend together the immaculate visual direction of the launch game with fun variety, blah 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 blah. I believe, I don't know, I might be on their Discord, it might be somewhere, but they say, yeah, it's not an exact recreation of any particular update or any particular point in TF2. It's just a compilation, like a best of. Anyway, yeah, it's not like a perfect recreation or anything like that. So I don't know. To see that the demo night is missing and just write it off completely and get so pissy is just ridiculous to me. Instead of being constructive, uh, but yeah, it's not an exact replica, and it's not. It's just trying to be faithful to the game's original design and art style. Um, like if maybe TF2 had another year in the oven or something like that. So yeah, I don't know if there's much else to say. I think I've covered most of it here. I don't know. I think this mod was fun. I'll definitely come back to it. But my main issue is the lack of weapon variety. I think it might, it hasn't yet, but it might lead to the gameplay getting stale. So I don't really have much else to say. Uh, if I do, I'll edit it in, I suppose. But yeah, I just want to know what everyone else thinks of this mod because I like it. So yeah, take care.